Hi there, I'm here this evening to do a little video for you. Hopefully I can get it all accomplished in one video. I'm doing this by request from Susan Hiles, and I will put the link to her channel in the description box below. I had done a little show and tell the other day of a few paintings, and I had shown one that I had done that a friend took a photograph of a beautiful flower, and I painted it, and Susan asked if I would please do a little video to show how I did that. So I'm going to show you my reference photo here that I got just online, sorry about the glare, online, and you can see that it is a white flower again with water droplets. This one has a beautiful kind of a raspberry colored center. That's the reference photo that I'm going to be using. And I have my sketch all done here because I didn't want you to have to wait on me while I tried to do my sketch. I don't know if you can see it, it's really lightly done there. And I'll do it in kind of segments so that I can try to get the whole painting done for you and show you the different components or parts of it or whatever as I go along. So the first thing I'm going to do is drop in the background of the, and I want to wet it, the paper a little bit. I'm going to do a background around this like I did the other painting that I did. And that background was kind of a green, and I'm going to do that here as well. Right now I'm just wetting the paper around, right around where I'm going to be putting the background in. And I might add some other colors along with the green. I may start off with a little bit lighter green and then darken it near the flower. It just depends on what mood hits me whenever I'm doing the background here. Right now I think I'm going to drop in a little bit of green. I may put some color to it as well. I don't know. Like I said, whatever the mood hits me. I've been kind of working on doing some looser backgrounds. I want it to go right up to the flower, but of course I don't want it to go into the petals. And I don't really want any hard edges if I can avoid any hard edges here. Put a little bit of this kind of a brown in here too. Just kind of want it to be sort of loose around the outside edges. I sort of, for lack of a better way of describing it, I sort of partition the paper off, like the sections. It's hard to describe it. I did see a lady do this. Oh boy, me with my mind. I'll try to remember who it was and put her channel in the description box below as well. but I really kind of like how she did her loose backgrounds, and she kind of partitioned it off a bit like this, and then just kind of dropped her colors in, and then let them bleed the way they wanted to. And she doesn't mind like back runs and that kind of thing in her outside edges, and kind of like that too. So she kind of wets the paper, and my water is, I still have a lot of green in this brush, but that's okay because I'm going with mostly green here. Anyway, but she kind of wets the paper where she wants it to, the color to go, and then sort of just drops in the color. And just, like I said, lets it go where it wants to go. Kind of fun, actually. Like I said, she doesn't mind like backwashes and different blooms and things in the background, and I really like that too. So that looks like it came off of the side of my tape. Good thing it was green. Anyway, so I'm going to try to do this all in real time, the portions of it that I show, to you. I want to show you each of the different little segments, I guess you could call them, but I don't want to have you sit through the whole thing like when I'm doing the whole thing. Oh boy, that really made a lot of sense, didn't it? What I'm meaning is that I'll start like a portion of it, or I'll start a part of it, or start doing a certain thing to the painting, and then I'll show you how to do a little bit of it, or I'll do a part of it, and then I will go ahead and move on maybe to the next portion. And in other words, not show you the whole entire laborious process of doing every little bit of it. Like I pretty much did the whole background, but this is, doesn't really take too awful long. So go. Now the next thing that I'm going to do, when you have a white flower, and I chose a white flower again because I wanted it to be pretty much what I had shown and what Sue asked me to show how to do. So that's why I chose a white flower again. And but when you have a white flower, or a white anything really, what I've kind of found out from a lot of different people is it's not really white. But you have to look at it really closely. You have to actually look at it and discover what colors you are actually seeing in the white. So that's what I'm going to move on to next here, and what I see mostly, or a lot of, in this particular painting, or this particular photograph I should say, I see gray, I see kind of a real pale lavender, maybe even a little bit of blue. Of course, towards the center there, I see, you know, some deeper colors of lavender and maybe even pink. And I don't know if you can see what I mean, but you can see that in there. And then also you can see the water droplets are not really, they have, I don't know how to describe it. This, Susan, this might not get, I guess might not get online. I have to just, you know, get with you and tell you how I did it or whatever. I guess it might not get to where, you know, anybody's able to understand me. But what I mean to say is that the droplets are, like, the droplets are gray around the outside. It's a distinct color of gray. They have a lot of white in them, and I've drawn them out here, but they're not really, you know, when you look at the picture you say, oh yes, those are water droplets and they're clear and they're crystally, but that's not really, whenever you look at it deeper, that's not really the colors that are there. Does that make any sense? I don't know. Anyway, so I'm going to let this dry because this has to be really, 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 really dry before I start on the other part of it. So I'm going to let that dry, and I will be back when it's dry. Okay, I'm back here for the second go around with this little painting, and I have mixed up over here a real, trying to decide which brush I want. A very, 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 very pale gray, and it's going to kind of be my color of my white flowers. And I'm gonna start kind of right here because there is definitely a little bit of a shadow right there under that kind of where this particular petal goes around. And then the shadow sort of goes along here as well. Got a little bit too much there. And I'm sorry if I apologize right away if I get really quiet, because I get to doing this and I forget that I'm talking to you and I don't speak. So I'm sorry about that. Right, I'll apologize right off the bat because I know it's going to happen. Another shadow here. And this is just, I mean, I don't even really know if you can hardly even see it. It's so pale. And it will dry back even more pale than this yet. This petal has kind of a sort of a line that goes like that. And shading. And I should have said this background is completely and totally dry now. So as I said, basically right now what I'm doing is just putting the color in that I see on the petals. Just basically putting in this very light hint of gray. Okay, so here you see I added a little bit of a very light lavender to the shading as well. And now I'm going to start to do the droplets, the water droplets. This is a very, very light shade of gray again. And I go around the top and make like a highlight sort of on the top or on the side where this is where I kind of use my reference photo a little bit to see, you know, where exactly to put the highlight and the shading on the little bubbles, droplets. I'll call them droplets or bubbles. Anyway, so you see me there with the real pale gray, and I just go around the little shapes. And putting the highlight in, and then what I do, I don't believe that when I did that other painting, the one before this of the daisy, I don't believe I had any white gouache at that time. I did use a tiny little bit of white watercolor on that painting, you know, where the bubbles are or the little droplets, you know, just to give them a little bit of more of a punch where the white is. So I think I end up using a little tiny bit of the white watercolor on these droplets as well. And that's my King Art brush. I believe that's the 4. I'm sure. I don't think it's the 2. I think it is the size 4. And I really like those brushes, but I just continue on here with making the little droplets. Each one has like a little highlight on it of darker gray, and then you sort of just go around the little ring make the shape of your droplet. As you can see, they're not all the same size, and they're not in any, I kind of followed a little bit what the photograph suggested as far as the placement of them, but mostly they're just random, you know, they're just random little, that's kind of a half circle there because that's suggestive of the part of the drop of water being under the other petal. And there's a tiny bit, like in that one, you can see I let the gray kind of go down farther into the actual, because it's a bigger droplet, so I let it go in farther into the shape, circle, whatever you want to call that. So that it had a little bit more highlight. And so really, basically, you can see that I'm doing the droplets here, and that's about, you know, about all there is to doing them. I think they're fun to do. I enjoy doing them. So that's what it looks like to do the droplets. And I think soon here I go on to do the to put the white, some of the white watercolor in the insides of them. And yes, here I go, just dabbing in the tiniest little bit of white watercolor. And it makes a little bit of difference. If I would have used, well, gouache on all of them, would have been a little bit more prominent, the white, as far as that goes. But I didn't really want to lose, this might sound weird, I didn't really want to lose the translucence of the watercolor, because some places where there is a droplet that goes over the, how do I want to say it, the edge of a petal, like sort of, there's one there kind of on the upper left a little bit that goes over the edge of a petal. And if you don't have that translucence, then that would have covered that up, and it, I don't know, I think it just takes away from the, I don't know, it takes away from it looking realistic. Not that this is super hyper realistic or anything like that, but it just, because you're supposed to be able to see through the droplets. So you would be able to see that there's an edge of a petal there. But if it were covered over with the opaque gouache, then you wouldn't be able to see that. Does that make any sense? I hope it does. Anyway, so yeah, I'm just finishing putting in the white on the droplets there a little bit. And I'm going to go in here, I think, with my pink. I think. Yeah. I was so silent during most of this that I ended up doing a voiceover, because it just, I was just not saying anything to you at all. So I thought, I better at least try to explain what I'm doing. So I did a voiceover, and I think I'm about to go in with the center of the flower there. A couple different shades of pink. Sorry about the delay here. I didn't realize it was there. Oh, there, I put a little bit more white on that one. Okay. I do end up doing the center of the flower here, I'm pretty sure, before long. And right now, I guess I'll apologize really quickly for this video going so long. Normally, my videos are not this long, but I can't get something like this, a demonstration. I can't get something like this unless I would have put it in fast forward like I do sometimes. I could not get all that in like 15 minutes or so. I'm just not that quick. So it looks like I might be rinsing the white out of my brush there. And hopefully I will be putting the pink in the center. Yay! There we go. Well, oh no, it looks like what I started off with was, yeah, that makes sense. I started off with the real pale violet color again, kind of all around the edges of this this little flower center. It's kind of all, I don't want to say jagged, because it doesn't really look jagged. It's more fluffy around the edges of the center of this flower. So that's kind of what I went with. There I might have been just wetting it, actually. That's what I think I was doing. Sorry. It wasn't the violet. I think I put that in later. I was just wetting it so that I can put my pink in there. There we go. And it's such that's such a pretty shade of pink. I'm not really sure what it's called. These are my mission paints that I'm using here that I absolutely love. But you see how it's kind of jiggity-jaggedy around the edges of the center there, and then I just kind of fill it in. It's got a bit of a deeper shade around the edges as well, and I do go back in and put that in. When I wet it, I kind of made little jiggity wet marks all around the edge of it, and so that's what that is kind of bleeding into, are those little wet, little tiny fine wet lines that I put on there. And I think right here, excuse the delay again, I'm mixing up the darker pink. So you'll see that here in a minute. Making my jiggity jaggedy lines a little bit more prominent. And of course I lose some footage here, but I will be back with kind of a follow-up here. Let you see the finished product. Okay, here we go. This is the finished painting, and I am just kind of doing this a different way with my camera, so I'm hoping that you're going to be able to see it okay. But if I bring it in close here, you can see what I did with the center of the flower. That darker pink, almost a maroon color around the center there, and then there's a little black in the middle, and then you can see those little violet spikes that I put out around the edge of it. So that's how I did the center then. And basically that is it. There it is, the little flower with the water droplets. And now I'm going to probably misspeak again, and hopefully I don't, but if I do, I'll put a caption under it. But this is a plumeria, I think. Oh boy, I'm not sure. I'll have to look on the photo, and I never did mention up until this point in time what type of flower it was. So, but there you are, Susan. I really hope that this helped you, and I hope that other folks enjoyed it as well. I really had fun painting it, and got a lot of more practice with my little bubbles, my little droplets, and I just had a lot of fun doing it. And I appreciate everyone watching, and everyone please stay safe and healthy. And until I visit with you next time, folks, God bless you. Bye-bye.